Hey y'all, Miko here with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. Welcome to another installment of our free Wednesday Zooms. 100% forgot to record it last night, so I'm re-recording it here. This will be a little bit quicker than our typical free Wednesday Zoom, but no worries, we'll get through the information and we'll make sure you understand everything perfectly. So today we're talking about compound schedules of reinforcement. Under the category of compound schedules, we have two different sides. We have our successive and our simultaneous schedules. Successive means one schedule is available and then the next. These two schedules are not available at the same time. And a compound schedule is just two simple schedules combined. Compound, two simple combined. So once again, successive is one schedule is available and then the next. One schedule and then the next. Under successive, we have a multiple and mixed, and then we have chained and tandem. As you notice, I grouped these, and I grouped them for a reason. You'll catch on to that in just a few minutes once we get into the differences between each of these. But when you're studying, when you're remembering, you should remember multiple and mixed together. You should also remember chained and tandem together. They go really well like that, so just be sure, again, when you're studying, remember them like that. Then we have our simultaneous schedules. Simultaneous means both schedules are available at the same time, or simultaneously. You've got it. Under the simultaneous schedules, we have alternative and conjunctive. Again, those two are grouped together. They're grouped together for a reason. And then we have our concurrent schedules. So let's go ahead and get into each of these. First, let's talk about mixed and multiple. Mixed and multiple fall under that successive category. One is available and then the next. So for multiple schedules and for mixed schedules, we have one behavior or response class. Super important. It's just one behavior or response class that you're reinforcing. There are two simple schedules combined. It doesn't matter if it's two intervals, two ratios, an interval and a ratio. That piece doesn't matter. What does matter is that it is two different simple schedules combined. And then the thing that separates them, multiple has an SD, meaning you know what schedule you're on. Mixed has no SD. We do not know what schedule we're on. An example of a multiple schedule would be something like a red-green system. So when the green card is present, you're able to ask for the gym room and go every 5 minutes. So that would be a fixed interval 5 minutes. And then when the red card is available, maybe you have to wait 20 minutes and then you can ask. So that would be a fixed interval 20 minute. So two different simple schedules, two interval schedules. Doesn't have to be, but in that example it was. And then one is available and then the other. There is an SD. Again, that SD would be the green card or the red card. And then mixed, exactly the same. However, there is no SD. So in a mixed example would be like, when I'm in a good mood, I allow my dogs to go outside every time they ask me. And when I'm in a bad mood, I only let my dogs go outside every 5th time they paw at the door. So the dogs certainly don't know if I'm in a good mood or a bad mood. There is no SD. Two simple schedules that happen to be two ratio schedules operating independently and successively. Typically, you're not in a good mood and a bad mood at the same time. So that's our example of mixed and multiple. As we continue on, we look at chained and tandem. Again, chained and tandem fall under that successive category, meaning one is available and then the next. In a chained schedule and in a tandem schedule, it's one or more behaviors. And just like it sounds, chained and tandem are behavior chains. So you complete a certain set of responses in order to access reinforcement. That set of responses must be completed in order. Each step typically serves as the SD for the next step. Tandem, it's the same. However, you don't know the next step, so there's not really an SD. But if you did, each step would serve as the SD for the next. So think about like making macaroni and cheese. If you get the box of macaroni, that signals, it's the SD, that you need to get the pot. The pot is the SD that you need to fill it with water, which is the SD you need to turn the stove on. When the water boils, that's the SD that you need to put the macaroni in. When the timer goes off, that's the SD. You need to take the macaroni off. You get the point here. Each step serves as the SD for the next. Must be completed in order. If you put the macaroni in before you boil the water, it's going to be weird. If you take the macaroni off before the water's done, it's going to be weird. So these have to be completed in order. For chained, there is an SD, meaning you know each step. For tandem, there is no SD. So think about tandem schedules as like an escape room, right? When you complete an escape room, there's a certain set of tasks that you need to complete, but you don't know what each task is. So that would be a tandem schedule. Now, a good escape room, you should complete them in an order. I certainly know I've been in some where you could just skip around, but in general, we're talking about each step needing to be completed in order. So that's chained and tandem. We talked about mixed and multiple. Now let's go ahead and get into the simultaneous schedules. Our first set of simultaneous schedules are alternative and conjunctive. In an alternative schedule, it's one behavior or response class. For conjunctive, it's one behavior and response class. So again, both of these, one behavior or response class. They both must include an interval and a ratio. Now this is super important. A lot of times we hone in on the keywords and not what the schedule actually needs. And by honing in on the keywords, we actually tend to get these questions incorrect. So I really want you to look at one behavior first. Then I want you to look at interval or ratio. Then you can look at our keywords of either or for alternative. And then conjunctive is and both. So an example of an alternative schedule would be either you can read for 10 minutes or you can read 10 pages. So our interval schedule was reading for 10 minutes and our ratio schedule was reading 10 pages. Our keyword was either or. Whichever you complete first, you contact reinforcement for. A lot of people associate alternative with choice making. That's not exactly correct. You're not really making a choice here because it's one behavior. So you're not choosing between what behavior you're engaging in. Instead, the singular behavior, one behavior that you're engaging in, contacts reinforcement when you complete either of those schedules first. So it's whichever you complete first. And then we have conjunctive, exactly the same. One behavior, must include interval and ratio. However, our keywords are and both. So if I said I have to read for 10 minutes and read at least 5 or 10 pages, that would be conjunctive. So we have our interval and a ratio reading for 10 minutes, and we have our ratio reading 10 pages, and then we have our keyword of and both. So you have to complete both of these schedules in order to contact reinforcement. Again, just one behavior, which is reading. So that would be a conjunctive. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about concurrent schedules. Concurrent schedules are associated with choice making. This is the everyday life. So this is all the decisions in life that you can make. They're technically concurrent schedules. Y'all can be here listening to us, studying. You can be at happy hour. You could be hanging out with friends. There are so many things you can be doing, but we base our responses on the matching law, which means I'm going to send my behavior where reinforcement flows. Again, behavior goes where reinforcement flows. And so you're going to allocate your responses based on the higher rates of reinforcement. If it's more reinforcing to study for the test because you want to pass, you're going to do that. If it's more reinforcing to go out with your friends because your buddy's in town who's only here every 5 years, you're going to do that. If you need to go to work so you can pay your rent, you're going to do that. If you have ample money in the bank and you have time to take a day off, you might do that. So that's all about the matching law. Concurrent schedules require 2 or more behaviors. We've talked about choice making. And then once again, it can be any combination of simple schedules. All right, let's try our hand at a little bit of practice. Our first question. When you are with your mom, you're able to play video games each time you ask. When you are with your dad, you only get video games every 5th time you ask. What schedule of reinforcement does this most closely resemble? Alternative, conjunctive, mixed, or multiple? Feel free to throw your answer down below in the comments here on YouTube. You can just think about it, whatever kind of works best for you. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the answer. So pause it if you need more time. All right, the answer to this is multiple. Well, why is it multiple? It's multiple because it's 2 simple schedules, an FR1 every time you ask your mom, and an FR5 every 5th time you ask your dad. They are available successively, so one and then the other. When you're with mom, you're on one. When you're with dad, you're on the other. This question implies that you're with mom and dad separately because there's two separate schedules of reinforcement. So once again, this would be multiple. There is an SD. Your mom is the SD. Your dad is the SD. It's not mixed because once again, there is an SD. It's not alternative and it's not conjunctive because there's not an interval and a ratio. You can immediately eliminate alternative and conjunctive if there is not an interval and a ratio. All right, let's try the next one. Remy enjoys going on long hikes. While exploring the great outdoors, his cell died and he had no clue of how to get back to his house. What schedule of reinforcement might be present in this scenario? Chained, tandem, mixed, or multiple? You know the drill, 5 seconds. Pause it if you need more time. All right, if you said tandem, you are spot on. So again, chained and tandem are very similar. It's completing a behavior chain. So like following directions, that's a behavior chain. If he had his cell phone, it would be chained, but since his cell phone died and he has no clue how to get back to his house, this is tandem. We don't know how to get back. It's not mixed or multiple. We don't see an SD here for multiple. We don't see really one available and then, or we don't really see, two different simple schedules operating independently. We do see a behavior chain, which is technically different schedules, but it's not mixed or multiple. So tandem it is. Lewis arrives home each day and must complete 1 page of homework and then another 2 pages before he's able to go outside. What schedule of reinforcement is this? All right, I gave you a little bit longer on that one. I did it intentionally. This is a tricky question, and honestly, you're going to think it's a trick question. Most of you probably picked conjunctive because he needs to complete both. But this is a simple schedule, y'all. Remember, alternative and conjunctive require an interval and a ratio. This is ratio and ratio, 2 ratio schedules. It cannot be alternative or conjunctive because we have 2 ratio schedules. This is just a fixed ratio 3. You complete 1 page and then you complete another 2. That's just completing 3 pages. So that makes it a simple schedule. It's not concurrent. We only have 1 behavior here. That's completing homework, so it can't be concurrent. Once again, you do see our keyword of and, which would make it conjunctive, but conjunctive requires that it be an interval and a ratio. We have another video called Breaking Rules, Rule Breakers, or something like that. Please watch that. It talks about how we get in these habits of looking at certain keywords and using them as rules, when in reality, we should be dissecting the question properly. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to learn how to dissect the question based on the concepts and what those concepts require. These 2 concepts, alternative and conjunctive, require an interval and a ratio. We don't have that here. All right, we gave you a 4th question, so let's go ahead and try it. Brenda enjoys spending time with her grandparents. She's able to eat cookies when she washes dishes for 10 minutes and washes at least 5 dishes. This schedule of reinforcement most closely resembles concurrent, alternative, conjunctive, or a simple schedule. Nice. No tricking you this time. This is certainly a conjunctive schedule. We have 1 behavior, which is washing dishes. We have interval, 10 minutes. We have ratio, 5 dishes. We have our keyword of and, which makes this conjunctive. If it said either or, it would be alternative. If it was 2 behaviors, it would be concurrent, and it's not a simple schedule. All right, we do these every Wednesday. They will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time now, so new time. If you're interested, feel free to check us out. And for watching the whole time, you can feel free to use the discount code PASS, all caps, on our site for 10% off any of our products. We hope this is helpful. If you want to see other content information, drop it in the chat what you want to see videos on. We hope this helps you pass your exam. If you ever have a question, you can feel free to email us, info@behavioranalystsupervisor.com. Have a great day.